All right. Next one is Pukti from Vietnam. Let's go. On e4, we're gonna respond back with e5. They go for the d4, so-called center game. Let's take it. And they go for the Danish gambit. They sacrifice more material. Usually, I do not recommend actually taking on c3 here. If it was me in the game, I would probably take it. But for the purposes of this raiding climb, I recommend to balance the center. Do not go for the pawn grabbing. Take care of your development first, castle, and then you can go pawn grabbing. Okay, so for that reason, I am going to try balance the center here. Okay, with pawn to d5. I do not want to take on c3 and allow opponent to get a lot of active possibilities. All right. If they go queen to d4, now we can get the knight out. This knight is defending the pawn on d5 and is also attacking the opponent's pawn on e4. Now, if they take back, the question is, do we take with the knight on d5 or do we take with the queen? What do we think? They do not take. They play bishop to g5, pinning my knight. All right. What do we do about that? I think I'm simply going to play bishop e7 here and pin my knight. Now they can take here, but they did not. That means that I am going to castle. We could have taken there on our own. Okay, now they take here. I think now for sure I'm going to take back with the knight, because once they take on e7, we can take back with the check. Okay. Okay. Now this knight is under attack. What do we do about that knight? Where do we move it? We play c6, but that blocks the knight. We go rook d1. Rook d1, actually, rook d8, excuse me. Rook d8 looks good, I think. So let's do that. We're gonna threaten to do some knight discoveries. Go maybe rook to d8. Queen moves on the side. Let's bring the knight out. Knight comes to f3. Now we could get the bishop out to f5. We could get it to... No, we can't get it out to g4 because queen will take it. So we can go on bishop e6. Could also go knight b6 to attack the queen. Could also go rook e8. I think I'm just gonna get the bishop out here. That seems simplest, since the goal here is to keep it simple. Bishop to e6. Bishop to e6 now is gonna threaten some kind of knight discovery. The opponent was worried about it and moves the queen away. Okay, what if we kick this queen more? Queen takes b7. When you are taking a pawn as far as b7 in the opponent's side of the board, you always want to watch for tricks to trap that queen, and that's what's going to be the case here. All right, queen now on b7 has very limited amount of squares to go. So let's see how we can attack it. One way to attack it is going to be rook b8. Another way to attack it is rook a7. And the third way, which I had in mind, is going to be knight to a5. Now let's see. On rook b8 and rook a7, this queen can take c6 knight. So obviously, I do not want to give out the knight. So let's see what happens if we go to a5. Can queen go anywhere else? Can go to b6. Can go to b5, can go to b4, can go to b3. All of these squares are covered with our knights. Now this b5 square is covered with our pawn, right here. And knight is attacking the queen. So he got his queen trapped, and realizing that, he resigned immediately. Okay, a very handy trick, okay, to trap an opponent's queen. And even though at the moment material was equal, or he was down a pawn only, he decided to resign because on the next move queen is gonna be lost, queen is trapped. Okay, so a little trick to remember for all of you. Right, they go bishop c5. Well, the idea of knight f3 is usually to attack this e5 pawn. So if they do not defend it, I think we can simply take it. And a very common move, I see this move over and over. Knight c6 would lead to Stafford Gambit, I think, but knight f6, I'm not sure what that is, because that allows d4, and now we simply attack the bishop and keep an extra pawn, because black doesn't have time to capture on e4. Now, when they retreat the bishop, I think we can bring our bishop to attack the f7. Well, they don't do anything about it. They simply give us the f7 pawn. Now, we could take with the bishop and we could take with the knight. What do we think? Which one would we prefer? Would we prefer to take with the knight, or would we prefer to take it with the bishop? Knight, taking with the knight gives a very attractive fork. Taking with the bishop checks the king, and king loses the castling right. So which one would be better? I think taking with the knight. I'm leaning towards taking with the knight because I simply want to cash on material. Okay, if bishop takes king f8, what would we do then? We could also play queen f3 afterwards, but all right, let's take with the knight. What? Did they think that that was a check? I'm not sure what that was. I think our opponent got confused. Maybe they thought that we captured with the bishop. Okay. Check. Let's bring in the pieces. d5, okay. I'll take there. Moves the rook up. Now I think any kind of check here is going to be decisive. Probably will go like f7, or that's a discover check. That's another check defended with the knight. Now we're gonna try to bring all our pieces into the attack with bishop d3 check. And checkmate on the back rank. Okay. I do not want to rematch. I think I'm gonna try to go for the next game here. Alright, 11:49. We are halfway there. Let's go for the next game. Abdul Rahman from Indonesia. 11:26. Opponent, we go e4 pawn to e4 king's pawn. They go with the French defense. In the French defense, I will take control of the center with pawn to d4. Usually, if we are allowed to take the center like this with two pawns, that's always a yes. I'm expecting them to go d5 here to challenge the center, but they did not. Alright. If they did not, then we're gonna bring our knights first. Next is going to be the bishop, either here or here. d3 or c4. I think let's try to bring it on d3. Now if you castle, we also castle. Okay, next this bishop. Where do we want to develop the bishop? I think to g5. Alright, we have finished the first phase of the game. Oh, this is why. Sorry, this is why the board was adjusted. I chose it to the wrong, switched it to the wrong screen. All right, bishop goes to b7. So we have finished the first phase of the game, which was 3 golden principles. Fight for the center, develop your pieces towards the center, secure the king, castle. Next, we are ready to get our heavy artillery in the game. You could try maybe bringing the rook in first. It is not an open file. E file is not an open file yet, but it's still gonna come in handy usually to bring your rooks in the center. So next I'm going to do queen d2, bring the rook a to d1, and now we are fully ready to engage whatever comes on our way. That being said, We could try to go bishop h6. We could try to go e5 and bringing the knight maybe over. We could try to go queen f4 and bring the queen over the king side. I think that's what I like to do. I'm gonna bring the queen to f4 so I could go to h4, attack the knight. If they take our central pawn, I think we can take it back. We could take back with the bishop too, but I don't see the problem with taking with the knight. All right, queen to e8. I guess he wants to get rid of this pin. Now that should not be a bad idea. It does drop the pawn here on c7. Do we want to go for that pawn or do we want to go for the checkmate? I think I'm gonna try to go for the attack here. Or should we try to take? Or should we simply go queen h4? Let's go queen h4. See how does black handle this. Alright, they forgot about the knight. Now we have two attackers on the knight. They only have one defender. So that knight is free. Oh wow, they simply took back and I guess blundered the queen. I think they forgot that we had the queen over here. Okay, usually people resign after they blunder the queen, but our opponent decides to keep going. Alright, they take on e4. Let's take back with the bishop. Now the rook gets into the attack. Here attacking the knight on d7. And if knight moves away, we win the rook. Now this rook is defended with the queen. We had two attackers, they only have one defender. Okay, they take our bishop. Let's try to take it back. They take our rook. Let's try to take it back. And bishop to f8. We are up a lot of material here, so we can win this in a lot of different ways. I think the main one here is probably let's just push the pawn to promotion. Okay, let's promote to the second queen. We're threatening to take on f8 right now and checkmate. I think it's still the end is near. Check. That's another check and checkmate.